My name is Cole Williams, and before we get started with today's video, I want to take a moment to address the untimely passing of Pua Magasiva. For those of you who don't know, Pua Magasiva was the actor who played Shane Clark, the Red Ranger from Power Rangers Ninja Storm. He was found dead in Wellington, New Zealand on May 11th, and I'm not going to go into the details of how exactly he died, partly because at the time I started writing this script, nobody knows yet, and partly because, even if we did, that's not what I want to focus on. Instead, I'd rather talk about what he did in life and what he means to a longtime fan of the franchise, like myself. I started watching Power Rangers back in 2002, starting with the previous season, Wild Force, so Ninja Storm was one of my early Ranger experiences. I remember being a kid, watching the show religiously, buying the toys, and of course, at the center of it all was Shane Clark, the kind, friendly, headstrong young skateboarder who took his mission seriously, who always watched out for his friends, and tried to keep them out of trouble. For me, Ninja Storm was one of the most memorable seasons of Power Rangers, due in no small part to his performance. Now, more than ever, I highly recommend watching the series. Pua Magasiva was a great ranger, and he will be sorely missed. May he rest in peace, and may the power protect him. Now, that having been said, this is part 2 of Power Rangers Galaxy Defense, a season born from adversity. Now, quick aside, I'm going to try to be a bit more brief this time around, though I can't make any promises. With the only potential drawback being that it won't be as in-depth as part 1, the link to which you'll conveniently find in this video's description. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you watch it first. But perhaps that'll be a good thing, because I probably shouldn't tip my hand too much on the off chance that Hasbro sees or hears something that they like and try to take my ideas without giving me credit, but I digress. Last time, we established our first 5 Rangers and some plot points, particularly those surrounding our Red Ranger, Caleb Garrison, and how he wants to make a difference, save his mother, and defy the Alliance. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I would like to make something clear. I would prefer to space out the introductions of the Rangers more evenly, if possible, from a production standpoint. One of the problems with Kyuranger as a series was that because they had a lot of Rangers, they introduced a lot of them early on. That said, the next 2 characters introduced also defy the Alliance, but in their own way. Naja, a calm and collected reptilian alien from the planet Asclepius, and Olo, a confident, brash android built on the planet Damara. But these 2 are found on the planet Onyx. And for those who don't know, Onyx is a place where all sorts of shady characters have been shown to flock to during the course of Power Rangers in Space and Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Now, they're on Onyx because they, like their Japanese counterparts, are on the run from the Alliance. Unlike their Japanese counterparts, they are wanted by the Alliance under suspicion of assisting would-be Alliance prisoners evade capture. Therefore, by Alliance standards, they are criminals. I imagine the 2 of them getting into a scuffle with some of the other criminals because if Olo and Naja are turned in, it could potentially put the lesser criminals in good graces with the Alliance. To shorten a long story, there are 2 power stars that are found on Onyx by the crew of the starship Paramount. Our Rangers cross paths with the 2 smugglers, and after walking into a trap set by the Alliance, maybe they're tricked into thinking that there are more refugees that need rescuing, Olo and Naja find the 2 power stars when they, along with Caleb, are trapped in a cave, at which point they are bonded to them. They morph, allowing Naja to become Power Ranger Ophiuchus, and allowing Olo to become Power Ranger Libra. After some on-the-job training from our young Red Ranger, they help fend off some Vilobites, and they help Caleb escape before rejoining with the others, and joining with the rebellion themselves. The next major character introduced is a man named Anante Ren Zoran from the planet Sassari Prime. Now, here's an interesting subplot. Not only has Anante already bonded with the Star of Scorpius when he found it on his own, but he is actually going to have some tension with our Black Ranger, Ballas. The reason for this is that in the source material, the Orange Ranger and the Black Ranger had initially a pretty antagonistic relationship because of a misunderstanding which led the Black Ranger, an android in the source material, to believe that the Orange Ranger had murdered his creator. But I kind of want to flip the script on this one by making it so that it's the Orange Ranger who has issue with the Black Ranger. But how would I go about doing this? Well, my story goes that Ushina has recently been in conflict with Sasori Prime. I kind of wanted a dynamic similar to that between the Cardassians and the Bajorans in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which I think will ultimately be necessary. So the story goes that the Ushina government once supported a Sasorian politician who turned out to be a tyrant, and established something of a caste system, and caste-based discrimination soon followed. Years later, an extremist group that happens to be based out of Sasori Prime called the Deathstalkers attacked a major city on Ushina, doing lots of damage and taking lots of lives. In retaliation, the government of Ushina launched a full-scale invasion on Sasori Prime, doing even more damage and claiming even more lives than the attack on Ushina. They got their revenge several times over, but at the cost of destabilizing an entire planet and civilization. So naturally there's some bad blood there. Ballas and Anante's character arcs are mostly going to deal with wrestling with these issues, thereby playing into the big theme I had mentioned in the first video, overcoming differences in order to overcome adversity. Of course, by the end, there won't be total forgiveness. There won't be complete reconciliation, there may not even be much in the way of civility. But things may be different, especially considering one of the other villains. At some point during the series, the Rangers are going to meet a man named Tamulus Ren-Zharom. If you hadn't already guessed by the name, Tamulus is the older brother of Anante. When Ushina's army invaded Sasori Prime, Anante was separated from the rest of his family, and he later heard that none of his family had been found, so they were presumed dead. In one of the episodes, however, the Rangers, Anante having reluctantly agreed to join the team that has an Ushina member and therefore becoming Power Ranger Scorpius, find a weary but very much alive Tamulus on a desert planet while trying to find more power stars. They end up reminiscing about the life they had before the invasion. Their family was in a low caste, and the brothers always dreamed of being kings. Tamulus does show himself to be racist toward Ushina, even more so than Anante, as he will demonstrate with Ballas. He'll be on the ship with the Rangers for a while, until it's revealed that the reason Tamulus was able to survive is because Tamulus made a deal with General Nebula to gain control of the Scorpius system. Tamulus is the leader and founder of the Deathstalkers. He sold out his family and his people for power. This, of course, will lead to major conflict between the two. Eventually, I'd like for it to end in one of two ways. Either Anante ends up slaying Tamulus so he can't hurt anyone else, or Tamulus ends up imprisoned, left to reflect on his decisions for the foreseeable future. Either way, someone will try to console Anante, apologizing for what happened between him and his brother, but because the major Sasorian religion dictates that one should love that which is good and despise that which is evil, because Anante is a very religious Sasorian, and ultimately because of everything Tamulus cost them, Anante will dig in his heels and say something along the lines of, "There's no need for apology. I have no brother." Next, we have our Alpha 5 of the series in Aleph, a medical android constructed by Crotho, commander of the starship Paramount, and Kit, the ship's engineer. At some point, the Rangers will get their butts handed to them, and they will be in a bad way. That is when Aleph is created, to serve as the ship's healer. Now, eventually, she'll start feeling these desires to serve a bigger role, while at the same time wrestling with the mentality of, I'm a doctor, not a soldier. But at some point, the other Rangers will get captured by the Monster of the Week, and the Alliance has found a mysterious glowing box. Now, with the Rangers captured, Crotho and Aleph are the only ones on board the Paramount, and if things go south, Crotho needs to use the ship to defend from invading parties. Crotho beams Aleph down with a Constellaser, and establishes communication so that he can instruct her on how to free the other Rangers. Of course, the best laid plans of aliens and androids often go wrong, and Aleph ends up spotted by Vilobites. With her having only the basic in self-defense techniques programmed into her, she manages to hold her own long enough for the Rangers to escape capture and assist her. One of the Rangers will seize the glowing box, hand it to Aleph, and try to get her to beam aboard the Paramount, but the teleportation signal has been jammed. So, ultimately it's revealed that inside the glowing box is the Star of Aquila. Aquila? Aquila? The Eagle. It glows in her hand. For some reason or another, it has chosen her. After some encouraging words from Caleb, having been in a similar situation himself, Aleph transforms into Power Ranger Aquila, thank you Google, and from there, a fight scene ensues, and Aleph ultimately destroys whatever is scrambling the teleportation frequencies, allowing everyone to beam out of there. And much like Caleb has been doing over the course of this series, Aleph will prove herself as a Ranger. And that is all for now. You guys are doing so good, we're almost at the end. I'll be back in part 3 to give you guys some characters and storylines for the sort of end stretch of the series and what I have in mind for the very final arc. If you like this video, hit it with a thumbs up. If you hate this video, hit it with a thumbs down. Leave a comment down below, especially if you have questions because I realize I'm leaving a lot of things out. Tell your friends to watch my videos, if they want to. Hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell icon to be notified when I drop a new video, and follow me on social media if you want to. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, I bid you a good day.